Hello and welcome to the next vlog. This one's all about engine servicing, so it's still on a techie sort of theme. These are the parts which we're going to use to fit, and we'll go through each process of how I do it. Obviously not necessarily the best way, so as well as all these bits, there's some other items which are really useful, is to have some containers to put the oil in. You'll get about 5 or 7 litres out, so you need some. So here we go. The first job is to get the engine running, to get it all nice and warm. This is especially important from the point of view of the oil, which needs to be heated up so it allows it to run easier. We'll do a quick tour of the bits which we're going to look at. So this is the top of the engine now. So sorry for the camera work. We're looking down there. Those yellow pipes are the feed for the fuel to the engine. There's the guide belts. And the first bit is the fuel filter, which we're going to change. And then there's the air filter. And right at the bottom, on the right hand side of the engine, is the oil filter. Lucky on the Beta 43, all of these are really easy to get at, which is a godsend. The great thing about narrowboats is changing the oil is so much easier than on a car. You don't have to get underneath the engine, as you can't. So most of them come with these handy little pumps. So you just turn the tap on it, and then you've got a hand operated pump which just pumps the oil out, which makes it so much easier. I'm fairly sure I've read that old oil is carcinogenic, so it's always advisable to wear gloves and be really careful with it. Some of the Beta engines have little brass caps that you can put on the end of a tap, and that would stop this problem that I've got where it keeps leaking out. So now we've got as much oil out as we can, it's now time to take the oil filter off, where we'll get a fair bit more oil out. So there, I put a sump dish down there just to catch anything. Over the years I've used lots of different tools to get these off, chains and some leather belts. I thought I'd try this one this time. I've not used this before. Seems nice and complicated, so I thought I'd give it a go. and it was okay. Let's put it that way. And then there's the old trick of putting a bag over the filter before you take it off. It doesn't catch everything, but it catches a lot of it, and it's handy to sit in the bag once you get it off. There. And once the filter comes off, you can see it's some more oil draining out, and that will go for a little while. So just sort of wait until that eases up, and then you can look at putting the next one on. And what I tend to do while the filter's off, I tend to look around for things to clean. So I do apologise here. Incidentally, I have heard of people who, while the filter's out, they will pour another clean lot of oil through just to flush the rest out. So if you're very particular about how clean your oil is, you could try that, but it seems a little bit of a waste to me. I've also heard the best time to do this is at the end of the cruising season. So if you don't use your boat all the time, probably best to do it sort of late autumn, winter time. This is in October, so it's probably ideal from my point of view. But then it sits with fresh oil in over the winter period, which apparently helps it. I'd like to assure you that I do stop short of getting out the Mr. Sheen. Okay, time to get the new one ready, and as per all recommendations, what we'll do is we'll put a thin layer of oil on the rubber seal. It just helps it so you can put it on hand tight, and it makes a good seal, and it makes it easy so you can get it off later on as well. And just clearing up afterwards. It's important you get rid of these properly. Don't just throw them in the normal bin. You need to dispose of them correctly. These blue towels are worth their weight in gold. I think you can sort of get them from B&Q and all that sort of thing, but it's absolutely fantastic for what you can use them for. And here's the drip tray. These are great. If you fold a towel up in the bottom of it, then you can see really quickly if there are any drips or any leaks at all. I've got 3 or 4 of these under the engine in strategic places. And then we need to pop some back in. So as this is, I think it's between 7 and 9 litres, I think, depending on the engine sump, you can just pour the first 5 litres in without checking, because obviously it's not going to fill it up. After that, once you start getting close, put a small amount in and wait about 5 minutes before checking it each time, because it can take a while to get down. You don't want to overfill it. At least on these, if you do overfill it, it's just easy to pump it out again, but they don't like being overfilled, so take your time. Now what I tend to do is start the engine and let it run so I can check for any oil leakage or anything like that. I tend to work like that. I do one job, start the engine, test it, make sure that's all okay before moving on to the next one. Then if I do mess something up, I've only got one thing to concentrate on. Okay, here, that looks fine to me. The last thing I like to do is just check that the pressure's all okay, it all looks fine. So that's it, that's how easy it is to change the oil. This is the inline fuel filter, which pretty much all narrowboats have, and it sits between the fuel tank and the engine. Just responsible for separating diesel and water, so any water goes to the bottom in here and will come out first. So you just undo the tap, let it out. If there's any water in there, it can be got rid of. But that's all it is, just to sort that out. It's also a good use of the salad containers that you get from supermarkets. There's a tiny little bit of water in there, nothing to worry about. So after turning off the main fuel supply to the engine, this is the main fuel filter which is on the engine, which is next to be changed. I don't know if it's just me or not, but whenever I do this job, I can never stop the fuel coming out. even if I turn the main stop tap, it seems to come from somewhere. So all I do is just do it quickly. Again, same rules apply, hand tight only, and just be careful you don't misthread it. Once the filter's on and tight enough, the next thing is to get rid of any air blocks, and you do that by undoing this bolt. You're supposed to be able to just loosen it and then press the pump on top to pump the fuel through, but whenever I do this it always just makes a gurgling noise without doing very much, and I always end up having to take the bolt completely out. Then you keep pressing until you get squirted in the face with diesel, and that's how you know that the airlock's gone. So you'll see it if you watch carefully. Sort of third or fourth pump, you see I suddenly stop and pop it back in again. And that's it for changing the fuel filter. The air filter is great because it's so quick and easy to do. But one thing I would say is, depending on the age of your beta engine, there are two different types of air filters, so you just want to get the right one for your engine. Mine's from 2005, so it's a proper donut one, so you can see right the way through it. The later ones, they're sort of encased on one side, so you must be careful which one you get. That's now all done, so it's just start up the engine again and just double check everything for leaks. Make sure you can't see anything dripping in any of the trays or anything vibrating. I tend to just give the engine a really good look over anyway here, just to make sure it's all okay. But yeah, there you go, nice and straightforward. And it's so much easier and quicker and cheaper to do it yourself, and it's not a hard job at all, it really isn't. One last point is really to check the oil quite regularly afterwards, every couple of hours or so with the engine running, just to make sure it's all still okay. And lastly, what I like to do is put a label on each thing I've changed, given the engine hours and the date. I do keep logs as well, but it just is nice and straightforward.